see death around the corner.
I see death.
Them trap boys plot to send you to the corner.
I see death. I see death.
I see death around the corner.
I see death.
Stay on your turf and don't ever cross the border.
I see death. I see death.
I see death around the corner.
I see death.
For a taste, the fiends look out and warn
I
ya.
see death. I see death.
I see death around the corner.
I see death.
I gotta make it out or end up a goner.
I see death.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is what would a second victory over Wilder mean for Fury? So if Fury beats Wilder again, what does that mean for his legacy? And I'm going to start it off with a man who's been keeping it $150 this whole time. Ned, the TBE.
Let's go.
Fix your face, G. Fix your face, G.
Yo, peace with you, G. Peace be with you, G. Like,
Peace,
stop
G.
playing. Peace, G. Like, come on, yo. Choose peace, not hate. Yo, come on. Today, if Fury's second win, like victory, yo, we already said this. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I've been a Wilder hater for a minute now, and I know people want to call it. You can say spam in the chat, whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna deny it. Yeah, whatever. Wilder's not good, but Fury's second win. Hey man, Fury been one beat Wilder. I'm not a second win. What does that prove? When Deontay beat Luis Ortiz second time, what did that prove? It didn't prove anything. So when Fury beats Wilder second time, it doesn't prove anything. Fury, we really want to see the best fights out here. If you do not give us the best fights, if after this fight you don't go for Usyk or AJ, you're a coward. And honestly, I lose respect for you as a fighter. But you know, you beating Wilder for a second time doesn't prove anything. And I'm going to keep it at that. Nothing.
You heard it from TBE. We'll turn over to Big Mo. What would a second victory over Deontay Wilder mean for Tyson Fury's legacy?
It'll prove he's better than Deontay Wilder, and he can close that chapter and move on and try to go unify. But I don't think it would do anything for him because he already thinks he's better, and the majority of the people watching who's not a Wilder fan thinks he's better. So I don't think it would do anything for him. It might make some of us Wilder fans say, "Oh man, he really is better."
All right, Trill Dollar Brazil.
I mean, I agree with big bro, but a little bit more with that is just watching Fury's journey. You know, his mental health journey. I think this will also help that as well because, you know, Tyson Fury, he feels like, you know, once he's in the gym, and I can also relate, when you're in the gym, that's his safest place. That's where he feels safe. That's where he feels, you know what I'm saying, strong and supported and confident. And he gets all that from working out and being in the gym. And when he's not doing that, he's depressed. He said he'll be messed up in seconds, you know, within weeks if he's not in there training and working out. And I can totally relate to that. So I think, even though he says Wilder is this, that, and the third, he also gives Wilder his props as being a devastating puncher. And like Complex was saying, being one of the longest reigning champions that we have had, a victory will help him mentally stay focused on the goal. And that's getting that $100 million, which he said that Joshua messed up for. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to go and try to collect that. That's what this victory would mean, that he can go and move forward and go try to get that bag that he was looking for.
You mean that's if AJ could beat Usyk? Because if you ain't going to get no $100 million fighting no Usyk, bro. You know what I mean?
Y'all are saying something that is another topic within itself. It sounds like you're saying all these guys need AJ to make that money. You know, all right, so we're going to move over to Complex.
Hold on. Can I go first?
I knew you were going to say
I got to clear it up. Because what's this be? Y'all two go get the get the sparking. So I'd rather just get my point across, and then y'all could do.
You know what, brother? Since you such a peaceful brother, and your attire just makes me feel, relaxed, and it makes me feel like I want non-violence. Until I look at Complex Square. You go ahead, brother.
I appreciate it. I'll be quick. I promise y'all to. So, what would a second victory over Wilder mean for Fury? I think it actually means a lot for Fury because Fury will now silence all the conspiracy theories. The water, the Mega Man suit, the gloves, the egg weights. Now, Wilder supporters can't use that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that victory would mean Fury was just the better man. So that to me is at least if I was Fury, for my legacy, that's more important because dudes are throwing dirt on his name, calling him a cheat, a liar, all kind of stuff. And so if he goes through Wilder, nobody could say anything. Wilder supporters have to fall back and be like, "You got that," So then now he could go to the AJ fight or Usyk fight, with a clean record. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like people are like, "Oh, you only beat Wilder because you cheated." If he does this again, you got to give that man his respect. So I think that's the number one thing that solidifies Fury in this. He destroys all the naysayers, all the conspiracy theories. He shuts everyone down.
All right, turn it over to Complex. The floor is yours, my brother.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with what a lot of you guys said. To me, I think this win is huge for Fury. For this reason, even the first win catapulted Fury into superstardom. Remember, Fury was a former heavyweight champion already. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, and he beat him. He shut him down. It was an exciting fight, but still, nobody beating Klitschko in years, and he was the first one to do it. But he never got that love, even from the UK fans, from the world. People didn't recognize him like that. So when he beat Wilder, though, I mean, in the last year since he beat Wilder, the man's come out with 2 books, a Christmas album. I'm not lying, a Christmas album. I follow him on Instagram. He's constantly, trying to sell you his T-shirts, his whatever. This is big for him. And fine, bask in the glory of your win, right? So this was a major, major win for him. And in light of Joshua losing last week, I think this fight gets even more important because I think people were kind of thinking this fight was just an also-ran, like, oh, we're just doing it as a stepping stone. Like last week was supposed to be a stepping stone for Joshua. This week was supposed to be a stepping stone for Fury. But with Joshua losing, this fight takes on much more importance. One, because it's the ring championship, so it is like the belt that's supposed to be above all the other belts. But 2, in the public eye, I think a dominant win by Fury puts him that lets people know, not just in the UK, but around the world, like, yo, he's still that top guy, right? He can clearly say, I'm number one, if ands or buts, right? I'm the number one heavyweight. Usyk is out there, and no shade to Usyk, but Fury is kind of right when he says that people don't really care about heavyweight champions where they're not from the West, meaning the like kind of Anglophone countries of, UK, America, whatever. No disrespect to Usyk, but I'm just saying in terms of the public and how they're received, going on the nightly talk shows, going on the whatever, the commercials and stuff, people care a lot more. That's why I think when Fury beat Wilder, he got so big because he beat him in America, blah, 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 the American champion. That was huge, right? Even though Wilder only had 1 belt and Fury won 3 or 4 belts with the IBO2, I think, but he won 3 belts when he beat Klitschko. So it's a huge win. And I think whoever wins this fight really does get catapulted into the public eyes. This is the number one guy because everybody thought Joshua was, and Joshua has his rematch. And so that's kind of iffy. We don't know yet. Usyk got that win and it's credible, but we don't know because they have to do a rematch. So unless he beats Joshua twice, I don't think people are going to be convinced that he's number one in the public eye just yet. But when Fury wins, if he beats Wilder again, that's like, yo, he's the number one guy. Now he can run off and do movies and whatever. You know what I'm saying? He gets that aura of the baddest man on the planet. I'm the heavyweight champion, right? So I think it's a huge win for him. The first one was huge. A second one would be even more, you know what I'm saying? Like blow up more. I mean, they made statues for this man. They made statues of Wilder getting knocked down for Fury, right? Like, yo, people are like, this is why I say it's crazy when Wilder gets all this hate. I'm like, they made statues of this man, beating Wilder. They didn't make any statues of him beating Klitschko. But hey, that's what it is. What it is. So for Fury, this is big for him, his fans, and like G said, also all the conspiracy, all the doubt, and it just kind of closes this chapter. I think them two have been a big chapter in this heavyweight legacy of our generation. We're going to talk about Wilder Fury no matter what happens. It's going to be a conversation. So that'll be, closing this chapter and putting yourself above the rest of the division. Can I just add, this conversation, you got to put respect on AJ's name. I'm just saying, Complex, I didn't want to agree with you, but I kind of low-key agree. Man, listen, if Usyk becomes the champion again, if he beats AJ again, we might go back into the dark ages, bro. Because when Klitschko was reigning, the heavyweight division was boring. You need those antagonists. You need those characters to sell and to have people excited about the heavyweight division.
Right.
Let's provide Wilder.
Let Trill get in there. Go ahead, Trill.
I'm just being real, Trill. I'm just being.
Yeah, I know you are, and I know y'all are, and I don't mean that. I just want to keep the peace. Just keep the peace, Trill. I don't want no smoke. But I do have to say this though. We have seen in this lovely sport of boxing, once a guy wins over the crowd, over an amazing victory, they too can become the man and be popular, and then people will start to flock to that person because of their personality. People didn't know who Usyk was. If you looked on before the fight with AJ, he didn't even have like 1 million followers. Now you go on IG, he got 1.5 million followers. You look at his likes done blew up. He got 1 million likes, 1 million views on certain posts. People are starting to like his character. So I think that I just want to put a little respect on the fighters in Ukraine, because from Eastern Europe, these guys is coming, and they're coming with a different style. You're going to have to be prepared. These guys are coming prepared, and they're working hard. They're coming to the States, and they're not doing nothing else but boxing. And the weak get cut out. You know what I'm saying? And they're only putting out the best. And I think that once people get a chance, if Usyk can pull off another victory, his personality, I think they would gravitate to him, and he can start bringing some excitement, especially if he gets in there with Tyson Fury and he does unify. I think that could possibly happen because it has happened in this lovely sport of ours.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Complex.
I would love to be wrong. I'm just saying I would love to.
No, I just wanted to say quickly that I think when we talk about like the Joshua and Fury that was supposed to be for 100 million each or whatever for the Undisputed, I don't think it's even as much about the titles. It's more so about the stories behind the fighters, right? It's what can you sell? It's everything in this is marketing. It's selling a story, right? Wilder has an interesting story. Fury has an interesting story. Joshua has an interesting story that's been built up over years. Usyk has an interesting story, but it hasn't been told as much because he doesn't speak English. And not to say, I'm saying not that there's guys who've come over, a Pacquiao, a Triple G, who having had good English, been able to win over the American crowd, and their stories have catapulted them. But the reason why I think for the Undisputed fight to have that kind of significance is really the story behind it, right? So Joshua adds that story. Wilder Fury, why is this so much bigger than Fury Klitschko? Because of the story behind it that you could tell between people. So that's what makes the public tune in. That's what makes the fight that much bigger. There's been Undisputed. We've had we had an Undisputed fight earlier this year, and these guys fought for like $1 million each. What was it, at the 140 class? Josh Taylor and was it Ramirez, the other dude? So it's not just about the belts. Yeah, it's not just about the belts. And there's Undisputed champions. That's a big deal, but it's about the guys behind it, the stories. So I'm still interested in this heavyweight division, how it shakes out. And next week is going to be a big chapter to see how does this whole story play out.
And I agree, because this is what y'all was alluded to. Yes, y'all said that he doesn't speak English, but he does. He's working on it, just like we've seen the others.
I am very feel.
Yeah. He's working.
He says that as a joke because he started saying that a long time ago.
Even at the end of the fight, I don't know if you was watching. He kept talking, and he was trying to speak in English, like he's actually trying. Just like the others, like Canelo and Pacquiao. These guys, when they first got in front of the camera, we couldn't understand these guys. You got people like shout out to the great Miguel Cotto, the legend Miguel Cotto. You can't even get him to stop speaking English now since he learned how to speak English. This is what he's going to do. He's going to learn how to do this, and I think people are going to appreciate that, and that's what's going to be warming to their heart and make them more and like him even more. And he can grab fans off of that, especially if you keep on winning. Just keep winning.
I got a name, Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm.
English is pretty good, and he's extremely talented, but he's not a pay-per-view star, bro. Why is that?
It's not the equivalent, bro.
No,
Let me challenge him with this trill real quick. Tell me a pay-per-view star at 130 pounds.
That's what I was just about to say.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Tank.
Javante?
We got Tank.
Javante Davis. All right, name another one.
Well, Ryan.
And I said pay-per-view star. I wouldn't consider Javante Davis a pay-per-view star.
Me neither.
He fights
Not yet.
on pay-per-view.
Not yet.
And his fights do well enough for it to be profitable. But you already know pay-per-view star means you're close to getting 1 million views.
Yeah, I think that era's gone.
Yeah, that was gone. Times have changed.
We got
today's standards.
Yeah, it's a new era of streaming. So, like, if you could pull off,
Okay,
like, 1 million,
fair enough. But
you know what I mean?
you consider Javante Davis a pay-per-view star, like a
In this
star.
In this era, yes. In this
Okay,
era.
so then name someone else. In the history of boxing, you don't even need to leave it to this era. In the history of boxing, name to me the pay-per-view stars at 130 pounds.
See, hold on. I'm gonna give you that. But now, the 130, 135 era is becoming now like the new welterweight division, or at the last year it could have been, right? They had the names, they had the storylines, they had everything that could have like grabbed the boxing fans, right? Loma has the skill. He speaks English. He's a champion, or he was a champion, but he wasn't a pay-per-view star. So, and I get it. He's a smaller guy, so that could be a major factor. I'm not going to discredit that. But what I'm saying is, we don't necessarily know that because Usyk is trying to speak English, that means it's going to translate to now him being a pay-per-view star. I don't
He got to keep winning to be. He got to keep winning to become a star.
You know, just to go back to what you have said before, G, long time ago about the little guys. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I changed my views on that.
I know the OG.
Back then, they entertaining me. You know what I mean?
But the little guys, they really don't get that pay-per-view shine like that. It's usually the guys from 147 up.
Yep.
You know, you have to be, great and like spectacular, like to get on pay-per-view. I don't even think that, maybe some of the Prince's fights was maybe on, some of them was on, but he was a spectacular young, you know what I'm saying? Lightweight. I mean, not lightweight, but little weight guy. So, you know what I'm saying? Morales and Barrera, those were greats, That's what said the little guys never get no love. So I wouldn't count it on that with Lomachenko. But Lomachenko's a great fighter. And they're coming with a different style. Like Lomachenko was a problem. And then we're seeing that with Usyk.
Salute to Ukraine. I show love.
Yeah, I just wanted to show love to the Ukraine and put some respect on them guys. Because they are coming and they are trying and they are competing. And they should get the respect that they deserve.
G, back to you unless you're done.
Oh, no. It was complex.
Complex.
Yo. So it's like
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
You.
I'm good.
All right. A lot of things were said, and the conversation kind of took a different turn. So there's a lot of things. I'll address a few things. The first thing I'll address is the notion that you can't be a star unless you're from like America, the UK, and you got to speak English. I'm with Trill on this. I don't necessarily agree. And you pointed out, G, like Triple G's an example. Trill pointed out some other examples of like Manny Pacquiao learned English as he went along. Miguel Cotto learned English as he went along. They were stars before they could speak English. I think what you're overlooking is a fighter style. Does your style resonate with the fans? That's what ultimately dictates whether or not you're going to be a star. You guys say that Usyk isn't going to be popular, but Deontay Wilder really isn't that popular either. And Deontay Wilder has a 93% KO ratio, but his style, until he lands that punch, leaves a lot to be desired to the imagination of the public. Complex touched upon this in the earlier segment, in which he said The boxing purist doesn't like watching Wilder fight because they don't like his style. So again, Wilder's not a superstar. Wilder's biggest fight was his second fight with Tyson Fury, because the first fight, no one was really interested in it like that. Some people were. In the second fight, the pay-per-view numbers were a disappointment. They didn't make enough to break even. They needed 1.1 million pay-per-view buys, and they got around 800,000. So to sit there and say you need to speak English, Wilder speaks English. Wilder has a 93% KO ratio. How come he's not doing well? All right, I don't just want to pick on Wilder, and I'm not picking on Wilder. I'm just pointing out a fact. So let's just go to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, by numerous boxing sources, has been called the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He gets promoted. He speaks English. How come his fights don't do well? How come the #1 pound-for-pound guy was fighting someone from England, couldn't get his fight picked up on a decent channel in the UK, right? And in the US, he wasn't even fighting on ESPN Plus. He was fighting on regular ESPN. So you can't just highlight someone like Lomachenko and cite that as like proof. Lomachenko's fights actually get more buzz in the US than some TC fights. Lomachenko's fights in the US actually get more buzz than some of Wilder's fights when he's not fighting Fury. Compare Lomachenko's fight to Teofimo Lopez to some of Wilder's fights that don't include Fury. It's not even close. And this is what I'm saying. You can sit here now when you're looking at Wilder facing his best opponent that he's ever faced on pay-per-view and then try to compare. But you look at these guys and they're no, like TC fighting Sean Porter right now just got picked up by Sky Sports. All his other fights, they weren't even caring about the dude. Sean Porter, TC picked up by Sky Sports because it's who you're fighting. It's your style. It's a number of things that go into making you a pay-per-view star. When you look at Usyk, if he can continue to put on exciting fights, is going to resonate with the public. Now imagine this. You talk about the story, Wilder's story, and Joshua's story, Fury's story. People don't really know Usyk's story. Nobody really cared to know it. But if he beats Joshua again, people are going to want to know. If this is the guy who's going to fight Deontay Wilder, then people are going to want to know. The fact of the matter is, and I've been saying this for the longest time, and I think that this is true, and I think they're going to make each other superstars because they're finally getting in there with each other in fights that we care about. That's how you become superstars. Wilder may lose to Fury, but even in defeat, he's made himself more marketable. He's made himself more recognizable. Joshua lost to Usyk, that is true, but he's going to make more money in the rematch. More people are going to be interested in the rematch. He's made himself more marketable. That's why people shouldn't be afraid of these L's, because even in defeat, you can increase your marketability. You can increase the ability to sell yourself. It's all about how you perform at the end of the day. So I say all that to say you can make it about speaking English or where you're from. I just think boxing has been in a state where people haven't been getting the fights that they want to see, so they haven't been backing it. They haven't been supporting it. Regardless of Usyk speaking English or where he's from, if he gives us the fights we want and he performs and his performances are entertaining, people are going to want to see it. You look at Vladimir Klitschko, it was hitting and holding. It was hitting and holding. It was hitting and holding. Nobody wanted to see it because it was like, if you've seen one Vlad fight, you've seen them all. You know what he's going to do. Usyk's bringing a whole bunch of skills to the table. You see the stuff he was hitting Joshua with, changing the angles. That's like Floyd Mayweather stuff. People knew when they was watching Floyd, you weren't going to see a knockout, but you knew you was going to see reflexes, counters. You were going to see boxing, the sweet science at its highest form. That's what Usyk represents. The sweet science versus these bulls. Can one of these bulls clip Usyk? That's what it's about. That's what the people are going to want to see. Can Wilder hit Usyk with a right hand? If Wilder hits Usyk with a right hand, what's going to happen? That's what the people are going to tune in to see. You understand? So that's that. Getting back to this, Simply what it would mean for Fury is his first title defense. It will be the first time Fury defended his title. So that's what it would mean to Tyson Fury.
I'd just like to apply some pushback on your first half of your statement. I do believe it's not just English, right? Because also if you speak Spanish, right? But it depends on what Spanish-speaking fighter you are. If it's Puerto Rico or if it's Mexico, because there's markets behind it, right? These governing bodies are from these countries, right? So you're gonna get that star power, that backup. There's a number of things that come with that. But and again, this isn't like any disrespect to the Ukraine or anything. But again, remember when Klitschko was reigning for forever, it was like, it was the dark ages for the heavyweight division. So it's in addition. I wasn't saying like you just have to speak English and you're automatically a pay-per-view star. I don't think anybody believes that. But that plays a major factor in becoming that pay-per-view star or the face of boxing or something, right? Unless you're Canelo, who has the Mexican market, and not to mention there's several Mexicans in damn near every state. He has a large backing, right? There is a base for Mexican fighters, right? There's a base for UK fighters. There's a base for American fighters. Like the Ukrainian base seems like they're only in the Ukraine. You know what I mean? Until that Ukrainian base travels and goes to the rest of the world and make that a presence known. To me, they're almost like Cuba. Like Cuba has great boxing stars, right? They have excellent maturity and all that good stuff, but they're not marketable. You know what I mean? Because their base is just too small. So that's why I was like, I don't want to agree with Complex on that, but I felt like he has a point, right? When Fury even said it, I was like, damn, that sounded racist, but Fury still had a point. So that's I just wanted to.
I'll respond to it, and then anyone, let me just respond to that real quick, and anyone can go. Again, we'll disagree. I don't think it's where you're from. I think it's your style. And I'll give you a point. You're talking about speaking English to resonate to.
We just lost Caden. But
you guys hear me? Sorry, y'all went off my screen for a second.
Mm-hmm. We can hear you, my brother.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, yep.
All right, so I'm on my screen. So, I think it's more about your style, and here's why. You bring up Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko spoke English. He spoke English.
He's a professor.
The time when he was reigning, he could speak English, bro. So if Vlad couldn't speak
Seven other
English,
languages too.
He spoke like 6 languages, yeah.
So if Vlad couldn't speak English, then you can highlight that as a particular reason as to why the heavyweight division was in the dark ages when he was fighting. But he could speak English and he still couldn't get through to the fans because his style wasn't impressive. I'll give you another example. Right? You look at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury wasn't the star that he is now. Complex pointed this out in the UK because his style didn't endear him to the fans. When he beat Klitschko, it was one of the most boring fights you've ever seen. But the way Joshua beat Klitschko made him a superstar because he knocked Klitschko out. He stopped Klitschko. Yeah, he got dropped by Klitschko too. The way he did it put him at risk, but he didn't play it safe. It was exciting. It was excitement. That's what made Joshua more popular. Joshua puts on more exciting fights than Tyson Fury. That's what made him a star in England. This is a place where they're both from. They both speak the same language. They both have the same opportunities to get the fans on their side, but the fans ride with Joshua because he's more excited, he's more entertaining, he's more active, he's fighting better opponents. So that's what got the fans on his side. When you look at Vladimir Klitschko put the heavyweights into dark age because his style was boring.
I agree. But then what I'm saying is it's both and, not either or, right? Like, it's a perfect form. Like, AJ fits the perfect formula of a boxing superstar, right? He has the UK backing. You know, he has the physique, the look. He's articulate. You know what I mean? Like, he has a number of things that a lot of other fighters just don't have. And so AJ was like the perfect specimen to actually bring the heavyweight division out of that dark age, right? But I don't know if Usyk can maintain that light. You know what I mean? Like if Usyk, and that's why I said Lomachenko. I said it for a reason. Lomachenko he speaks English. He's spectacular in the ring, right? Like people love to see Lomachenko in the ring, but yeah, he's still not that star that we want him to be.
Okay,
That's
but
why
Lomachenko fights in a lower division, and his style is one that's appreciated by the boxing purists, but doesn't necessarily attract the casuals.
I agree.
So, like, I just think like you're using these examples of guys, but to me, it's all style. I think I'm not saying that it doesn't help to be from the US or be from the UK, but I think your style can overcome a lot of where you're from if your style's exciting to the fans. That's what I'm getting at. Go ahead.
Let me just add real quick. There's a lot of different components to make a mega fight, right? There's very few mega fights. When we're talking about a big fight, Usyk versus Fury or Wilder for the undisputed is a big fight. Don't get me wrong, but is it a mega fight, right? The whole world was on its toes when they talked about maybe Fury versus Joshua, right? Because that seems like a mega fight. It's not just the guys fight. It's not just the style, the English, the whatever. It's the story behind the guys, right? For years, it's been percolating. The other mega fight we got was Mayweather-Pacquiao, right? What the biggest fight in boxing history. That's because for years it's been percolating. Who's better? Who's better? Who's better? Now we can finally answer it, right? It's a story that gets built. Usyk, not to take away from him. I like Usyk. That fight was incredible last week. And Usyk is a good boxer. And Usyk has the potential to become a superstar, maybe. I mean, other guys have done it. Like you said, guys who don't speak as good English, a lot of times they campaign either in America or the UK. So he has a potential. But right now, if they fought Wilder or Fury versus Usyk for the undisputed, it doesn't reach that mega fight level yet because the general public is just found out who Usyk was. They just saw him beat Joshua last week. Just like, I'll give you an example. If Andy Ruiz beat Joshua, let's say the second time, and then he fought Wilder or Fury, that's not as big a fight because Andy Ruiz isn't as big a star. He doesn't have the same name. It's not the same story. So it's not just English. Yes, that's one thing. It's not just the style. That's one thing. But it's a story behind the guys. That's all. I think that's just the point I want to make. But it's still a big fight, and either way.
I agree with that point. The storyline hasn't built enough. Usyk hasn't been in the picture long enough for it to even be an entertaining storyline. Well,
right.
It's like we weren't even expecting him to be there. So, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
We went way off topic. Way off topic.
I know.
Had to do it though.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are going in. We are the Boxing Bros.
Hey, Trill, you forgot to plug the retirement party, Trill.
I was going to wait to the end.
Stop playing with me, yo. We need a big showing at this party.
I'm making the flyer now.
When things seem bleak, walk with me. To navigate these streets, walk with me.